But now we're going to talk about losing weight and the problems that create people to become overweight, and some basics of nutritional science that I want you to have before we go on to the talk about heart disease. And the most important thing in the history of longevity science, the most proven phenomenon to extend human lifespan, is eating less calories in an environment of micronutrient adequacy. In other words, food has two types of nutrients in it. It has macronutrients, which contain calories. Macronutrients are those calorie-containing nutrients like fat, carbohydrate, and protein. And as Americans, almost all Americans eat too much calories. We eat too much fat, too much carbohydrate, and too much protein. Excess of any one of those will shorten your lifespan. While at the same time, the American diet is grossly deficient in micronutrients, things like vitamins and minerals and phytochemicals and antioxidants, which we need in large amounts. So the American diet doesn't give us enough micronutrients. Here's what Americans are eating. We're eating about 55% of our diet from processed foods like bagels and croissants and cookies and pasta and salad oils and mayonnaise and donuts and crackers and rice cakes and breakfast bars and chips and candy. And this is what we're eating. Those are foods that give us macronutrients with no significant micronutrient load. When you have a piece of bread or a bagel, you're not getting any micronutrients. You're only taking in macronutrients. That's the secret to take in lots of macronutrients with no micronutrients if you want to shorten your lifespan and cause cancer or heart disease. So we're eating all these processed foods. And because of that, we're micronutrient deficient, and then we eat a third of our calories from animal products. And animal products do not contain fiber, or they don't have a significant micronutrient load. They specifically are lacking antioxidants and phytochemicals. And it's the antioxidants and phytochemicals that prevent the inflammation in the endothelium. The endothelium is the lining of the blood vessels. And when the lining of the blood vessels get inflamed, the body puts a Band-Aid on them and some cream on them, which is plaque, cholesterol plaque. We build up plaque when the lining of the blood vessels are inflamed, and they become inflamed because you don't have enough antioxidants and phytochemicals in your regular diet. So Americans eat about 10% of calories from fruits and vegetables and high micronutrient produce, but half of that is white potato and ketchup and French fries and potato chips. In other words, half of that is the processed produce we eat. If we're looking at really type of colorful produce, it's less than 4% of the American diet. So we have a ubiquitous micronutrient deficiency in America. Look, I said earlier, right, I said that the only thing proven in the history of science to radically extend lifespan of all animals tested, including primates, and we're primates, is eating less calories in an environment of micronutrient adequacy, right? I said that already. And this formula represents it. It says your healthy life expectancy, how long you're going to live and how healthy you're going to be as you age, is proportional to the nutrients per calorie you consume in your diet throughout life. If you eat a diet with lots of nutrients that's relatively lower in calories, you're going to live to be 100 years old in great health. If you do the opposite and eat foods that have no nutrients in them and eat excess calories, you're going to shorten your lifespan dramatically and accelerate heart disease. So the first thing, you have to be at a normal weight, because fat on the body creates hormones. The fat cells produce hormones that promote cancer. And heart disease is a form of fat on the body. Cholesterol and plaque is a form of fat, and you have fat buildup on the exterior wall of the blood vessel that restricts its mobility. The blood vessel is supposed to be elastic. And we have fatty buildup on the interior lining of the blood vessel called the endothelium that also restricts its mobility and leads to the formation of clots that cause heart attacks and strokes. You can't suck the fat out of your blood vessels unless you're removing fat from the rest of your body. The body doesn't just take fat off the left cheek of your buttocks and not the right cheek. Did you follow that? You lose it everywhere simultaneously. So what if I just had 25 calories a day too much? Just 25 calories a day. What would that do? 25 calories a day adds up to more than 30 pounds in 10 years. You have to develop heart disease. You have to age your body. You're probably going to get demented. You're probably going to get cancer because you're having 25 calories too much. Americans use 400 calories, an average of 400 calories of oil every day, and oil doesn't turn off the appestat because there's no fiber and no nutrients associated with it. You don't eat 400 less of something else. Like, so let's say you were going into a buffet. This was a giant buffet here on the stage, and as you walked into this room, as you walked in the front door, I handed every one of you an apple as you came in the doorway. And you ate that apple as you were walking back to the stage to get your buffet, your plates filled. And you would automatically eat about 65 calories less at that meal because you'd feel full enough because you ate that apple, because the fiber and bulk of that apple occupied space in the stomach, and the nerves sending the signals to your brain signaled you had those extra calories. But now we're going to do a different experiment. Instead of giving you the apple when you walked in the door, I'm going to give you 2 tablespoons of olive oil at 120 calories a tablespoon. So now you took in 240 calories, not the 65 calories in the apple, you took in 240 calories in oil, and as you walk down to fill your plates, you wouldn't eat 240 calories less. You would consume the same amount of calories as if you just had nothing, because there's no ability of that oil to turn down the appestat like there is with the apple. Matter of fact, the opposite thing occurs. Because when you put oil in the food, it's an addictive substance because it absorbs so rapidly that it makes you eat more calories than you would have consumed without the oil. It actually enhances your caloric exposure. So what if you did the opposite? What if instead of having 25 calories a day too much, which causes you to gain 30 pounds within 10 years, what if you just had 25 calories a day too little per day? So you figure out your metabolic needs to maintain your perfect weight is about 1,600 calories a day, so now you consume 1,575. What's going to happen to you? Are you going to get too thin? You become anorexic from 25 calories a day too little? No, you'll be at the same weight. You won't even lose any weight. Because when you undershoot calories by a little bit, your body slows down its metabolic rate to accommodate it. It increases its calories burned, and it conserves calories in your respirations, in your body heat, in your control of temperature. Your body will slow down your metabolic rate. And you know what will happen to that person eating 25 calories a day too little?
Live longer.
Right, this person will age slower because the metabolic rate is the rate at which you're aging. Let me say this one more time, because most people learning, they're accepting what they're learning out there in the world that people are telling them, and most people are telling them, you've got to eat regularly all the time. You've got to keep your metabolic rate up so you can eat more food and not get too fat. Am I giving that message? No, of course not. I'm telling you that we want to eat less frequently. We want our metabolic rate to be slower so we can eat less food comfortably and not get too thin. Did you follow that? So the first thing you have to remember is this first principle of a Nutritarian diet. Because I coined that word Nutritarian to define a diet that's maximally designed to enhance human lifespan with an optimal amount of nutrients. An amount and the spectrum of nutrients that humans need to live a long time and not get sick. Again, your body is this miraculous self-healing machine that would not get ill and would not get sick if it's fed this ideal diet style called a Nutritarian diet that has a high micronutrient density. Now, the American diet, of course, let's go back to the American diet for a second here. Remember this slide? 55% of calories from processed food, 33% of calories from animal products. This is the diet designed by ISIS. Couldn't be better designed, and we're going to learn why it's so dangerous. Not just because it's lacking in nutrients, but the combination between processed foods and animal products in high amounts creates excessive amounts of hormones that drive the aging process and cause cancer and heart disease. So we're going to go over that as we proceed, but here's what I'm saying at this point. I'm saying that a piece of chicken is like a bagel. So why am I saying a piece of chicken is like a bagel? You should know that by now.
No micronutrients.
Right, because neither a chicken nor a bagel has a significant load of micronutrients. Neither one contains any antioxidants or phytochemicals, or fiber for that matter. Both the chicken and the bagel are rich and concentrated sources of calories, or macronutrients, with no significant micronutrient load. And the more you eat of those foods, the more you're at risk of a premature death.